Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to do a big shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, but not by name because I've only got one monitor today. So another massive thank you to all of you who do support me on Patreon. But with that, I am going to hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I just need to send my preamp up. How are you, Neil? Good?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
The walls have closed in.
What does that mean?
It means it's been a month since I worked. Put an application the other day. I had to go for an interview. Hopefully I get that. It's just that everything's pertaining to driving, and they all want the freaking background check, and it's all from the same place. But hopefully, I don't know. See what happens.
Fair enough.
How about you? How's the mic thing going? Pretty good?
Yeah, it's all right. No complaints. Not today, at least. I've got a video that I want to cover, but my monitor broke, so I've only got my
But we're going to Omnivore today.
Well, we could do. It's just that I don't know if I'll be able to keep track of where we are and what we're doing while we're running a live stream. I've only got one monitor. I can't see everything all at once. Yeah?
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's fine. I can cobble my way through a live stream, I would hope.
I'm just curious how you're going to be treated over there.
Okay. Why do you want to go over there exactly?
You suggested it yesterday when we already had a server. And I was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that was when I had two monitors.
I tell you what, he's got like 30 people over there.
30 people.
Yeah, his Discord, his server's full. Because, they all came from Gem Panda over to there.
It's the same old Gem Panda faces then.
I'd say a quarter of them, yeah. And there's a lot of new people I don't recognize. Some flat earthers there by name.
Oh, did we get the link somewhere? I'll go tomorrow once I've got a monitor. Yeah, Master B.
Yes.
Alright, so we can dig it out and go tomorrow. We can go now if you want. Let's have a look. Where is it?
I'm looking because yesterday, yeah, Refracted sent it. It's right here.
Okay.
In between Bible U and Jado.
It says it's an invalid link. Try the other one. Ray, what is it? Roy and... Is that it?
No, it's right underneath it. The one by John Shelton.
Yeah, that said invalid link. Okay. I'm back in ours because it's an invalid link that John sent, so...
I got right in.
Okay, I'll try it one more time. Invite invalid. This may be expired, or you do not have permission to join. Right, I do actually have a video that I wanted to cover today. If I can find that.
What's that?
What's what?
The video?
Don't know the title, I'll tell you when I find it. Are you one of them?
Why doesn't every home in the UK have brand new solar panels? The number one reason is not about... Why doesn't every home in the UK have brand new solar panels? The number one reason is not...
What's up, everyone? Pags here at MES.
In the power of education and rational discourse, a loving parent starts making decisions that endanger their own children. These aren't evil people. They're intelligent, well-meaning individuals who've fallen victim to what Dietrich Bonhoeffer called the power of stupidity. And here's what makes this truly terrifying. It's not happening to other people. It's happening to people just like you and me. This isn't just philosophical speculation. In 1961, Stanley Milgram conducted his infamous obedience experiments at Yale University.
Did he, though? I mean, when they show the Milgram experiment, claimed to be non-experiment, they show a dramatisation of it. Now, people will allude that this took place in Yale, but did it? This guy's talking about digging out primary source research, but he doesn't actually do it himself. So we're just expected to believe that that is the case.
Ordinary volunteers were instructed by an authority figure to administer what they believed were increasingly painful electric shocks to another.
Really? Yeah, that's what it's shown on all the dramatisations I see. They're never real people, though. They're always actors. They're alluded to be real people.
Person. Despite hearing screams of agony, 65% of participants delivered shocks they thought could be lethal. These weren't sadists or mentally ill. They were normal people who had temporarily surrendered their capacity for independent moral judgment. This is exactly what Bonhoeffer witnessed firsthand in Nazi Germany, and it led him to develop one of the most unsettling theories about human nature ever conceived. But before we dive deeper, I have to ask, have you ever found yourself believing something simply because everyone around you believed it too? Keep that question in mind as we explore what might be one of the most important psychological insights of the modern era.
The title for it was The Man Who Stared into the Abyss.
Dietrich Bonhoeffer wasn't your typical philosopher sitting in an ivory tower, pondering abstract ideas. He was a German Lutheran pastor who watched his entire society transform before his eyes. Born in 1906 into an intellectual family, his father was a prominent psychiatrist and neurologist. Bonhoeffer had every reason to believe in the power of education and rational discourse. But as the Nazi Party rose to power, Bonhoeffer witnessed something that shattered his faith in human rationality. He watched as his fellow Germans, educated, cultured, religious people, began supporting policies and leaders that contradicted everything they claimed to believe. These weren't ignorant masses being manipulated by clever propaganda. These were professors, doctors, clergy members, and intellectuals who were actively participating in their own intellectual surrender. From his prison cell in 1943, waiting to be executed for his role in a plot to assassinate Hitler, Bonhoeffer wrote what would become his most haunting observation. Against stupidity, we are defenseless. Neither protests nor the use of force accomplish anything here. Reasons fall on deaf ears.
Yeah? Does that resonate with anybody? Let's read it again. Bonhoeffer's words. Against stupidity we are defenseless. Neither protests nor the use of force accomplish anything here. Reasons fall on deaf ears. Sound familiar?
Sounds like what we're going through.
What we're going through with our opponents who fail to see reason.
What made this
Correct.
observation so chilling wasn't just its context, but its precision. Evil, he noted, always carries within itself the germ of its own subversion. It creates unease, resistance, eventual breakdown. But stupidity?
So what he's saying is, when people do things that they know are inherently wrong, that has a sort of stopping process built within to it. That the unease that people feel when they know they're doing something inherently evil will preclude them from continuing or stem their process, their progress. Yeah? So it has a self-limiting effect.
It believes it's doing good, making it absolutely immune to correction. Perhaps Bonhoeffer's most prescient insight was about how stupidity serves existing power structures.
So people who believe in the groupthink of Ball genuinely believe that they're doing the greater good, and therefore are completely immune to rational thinking and reason when it comes to their Ball belief.
Malicious people know they're doing wrong, which creates internal conflict and eventual breakdown. But people caught in functional stupidity believe they're doing good, making them absolutely resistant to correction. This
Wow.
isn't accidental. Those in power don't need to actively suppress information anymore. They just need to create conditions where processing information honestly becomes prohibitively difficult.
They're saying if you're in a circumstance where an outlay of mental processing is costly because you've got a lot on your plate, you simply won't do it. That's what he's suggesting.
When Bonhoeffer used the word stupidity, he wasn't talking about low IQ or lack of education. He was describing something far more complex, what we might call functional stupidity or willful ignorance. In his letters from prison, he explained, "The fact that the stupid person is often stubborn must not blind us to the fact that he is not independent. In conversation with him, one virtually feels that one is dealing not at all with him as a person, but with slogans, catchwords, and the like that have taken possession of him."
Yeah. The notions of orbits and gravity being a force, these are just slogans, aren't they? Notions that have taken over where processing anything cognitively is expensive.
Here's what made Bonhoeffer's theory so revolutionary. He argued that stupidity often emerges not from individual failings, but from systemic pressures that make thinking independently both difficult and costly. The truth is, our economic systems actively incentivize intellectual shortcuts. Social media platforms make billions when users react emotionally rather than think critically. News outlets get more clicks with outrage than nuance. Politicians win elections with simple slogans rather than complex policy proposals. When people are working multiple jobs, drowning in debt, and constantly bombarded with information, intellectual surrender becomes a survival strategy.
They just keep them busy, keep them mentally occupied. And then the nonsense narratives that are seemingly cognitively expensive to process get the shortcuts applied to them.
What economists call rational ignorance emerges. It becomes more efficient for individuals to remain uninformed about complex issues than to invest the time and energy required for genuine understanding. But this individual rationality creates collective irrationality, exactly the dynamic Bonhoeffer observed in Nazi Germany. The result isn't just individual choice, it's structural pressure toward intellectual surrender, and our brains, stressed and overwhelmed, are perfectly designed to comply. While economic systems push us toward intellectual shortcuts, our brains are actually wired to comply. Leon Festinger's groundbreaking research on cognitive dissonance in the 1950s showed exactly how this works psychologically. When people encounter information that contradicts their beliefs, their brains fight to reject it. But here's what Bonhoeffer understood that modern psychology has confirmed. This process is amplified when people are stressed, overwhelmed, or economically insecure.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Exactly the conditions our current systems create.
Yeah, so keep them poor, keep them overworked, stressed, concerned about keeping a roof over their head and general survival, and then they won't process any of the more intellectual seeming folly that your brain rejects in favour of shortcuts.
Bonhoeffer observed that stupidity often emerges in group settings, writing, "It becomes clear that stupidity is not a psychological problem, but a sociological one." He noticed that perfectly rational individuals would abandon their critical thinking abilities when they became part of a larger group or movement.
Yeah, this is what the behavioural panel point out frequently. Yeah, when you're part of a group, socially, and we are social creatures, we will always strive to please the group or seek approval from the group. That is our driving nature in almost all things. To seek approval to the point where people will commit heinous crimes in the name of seeming socially acceptable. It's insane.
This insight was decades ahead of its time. Solomon Asch's conformity experiments in the 1950s demonstrated exactly what Bonhoeffer had witnessed. When surrounded by a group giving obviously wrong answers, 75% of people will go along.
Again, this statistic that's being offered isn't backed with any actual validity, and every time I've been shown these examples of these conformity quote-unquote experiments, they're performed by actors. They're not leaving it to chance and actually doing it. They create the scenario, tell you what it is to be in the process of this quote-unquote experiment, and then they'll have actors perform out how it should go down with the statistical significance ascribed in terms of who will or won't be conforming with whatever on the blackboard that the group is saying is wrong or right, depending on the circumstances, with the person who's claimed to be the subject agreeing with them where they're wrong. Well, again, like I say, I've seen that done by actors. So, like with Milgram, if it's an actual real thing, not the electrocuting people, but the process of making them believe that they are, they could just do it with real people. They wouldn't need to dramatise it and bring in actors. But they do, every single time.
Along with the crowd at least once, even when they know the group is wrong. Now, imagine how this plays out in our digital age. Social media algorithms create echo chambers that make this transformation easier than ever. A 2018 study by MIT researchers found that false information spreads 6 times faster than true information on social platforms. But here's the crucial insight. It's because false information often feels more emotionally satisfying than complex truths. When someone shares misinformation that confirms their worldview, they're participating in a system that rewards intellectual shortcuts over careful analysis.
they're being told that refraction, begurk, that's an intellectual shortcut that people will easily swallow. All right, someone's done the work for me. The logic is in place. I just need to begurk refraction and life will be good. When we start pointing out the actual B and C between the A and D of their Earth curve / refraction, they don't want to hear it. It's too cognitively expensive.
The
Yeah, but they
algorithm
could flip it
feeds
right
them
on
more
us
of the
too,
same.
Nathan.
Go on.
They could flip it right around on us. Like somebody like Omnivore will listen to this, and he'll think it's us they're talking about, because that's the cog this.
Well, I mean, if you want an example where we do that, then that's fine. Like, I'm not drawing it to specific individuals here. I'm just saying that how we encounter the world is as described here when dealing with intellectual stupidity, dealing with shortcuts. And I'm giving an example with refraction, when people begark out refraction and don't know what refraction is, let alone how it logically links to the argument. If you're describing a geometric physical sphere edge measurement at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, refraction's got nothing to do with it. But the person who's barking that at you doesn't know that or care. This has been dealt with, they tell you, by refraction. You should go and study how it's been dealt with. My cognitive shortcut is sufficient for me, is what they're telling you.
Creating echo chambers that act like intellectual quicksand. Have you ever noticed how your social media feed seems to show you exactly what you want to see? That's not an accident. It's the architecture of chosen ignorance in action. We see this pattern play out repeatedly throughout history. The Salem witch trials weren't conducted by evil people, but by God-fearing community members who genuinely believed they were protecting their neighbors. The Red Scare of the 1950s wasn't driven by malicious actors, but by patriotic Americans who sincerely thought they were defending democracy. In each case, intelligent, educated people abandoned critical thinking in favor of group consensus and emotional certainty.
Because... just moving on, I see. Okay.
If our brains and systems are rigged against us, how do we fight back? Bonhoeffer.
No. Our brains aren't rigged against us, right? Typically, if you're doing something that's productive and you can find a shortcut, it is mentally advantageous to take said shortcut. Now, to take advantage of how our brains cognitively take shortcuts, that's not a fault. That's a feature.
Bonhoeffer believed that breaking free from stupidity requires what he called costly grace, the willingness to think independently even when it's painful, unpopular, or dangerous.
Here's where he gives out some really good advice. I've watched this in advance up until about 2/3 of the way through, but this is where it gets really juicy in terms of what he suggests people should do.
But now we understand we're not just fighting social pressure. We're fighting millions of years of evolution and billion-dollar algorithms designed to exploit our mental shortcuts. On an individual level, we can cultivate what psychologists call intellectual humility. The recognition that our knowledge is always incomplete and potentially wrong.
That sound familiar? Would you not agree that the majority of the people who come through our doors on what we would call our side of the argument exhibit that trait? The trait of saying, I don't know.
Yes.
This means actively seeking out information that contradicts our beliefs, not to torture ourselves, but to test whether our beliefs are worth holding. Here are some concrete practices that can...
Yeah, and in so doing, what I discovered that not only were my beliefs in terms of a ball Earth in a sky vacuum based on orbital motion measured off a flat plane weren't worth holding, but the axiomatic principles utilised to create those beliefs were based on a flat Earth measurement. So in terms of what Earth is, in terms of whether or not I should hold a belief about it, specifically, knowing how it's measured eradicates all need for belief. Now, what I found in the wake of that is that everyone around me is as this gentleman describes. seeking the group affirmation of their ball religion based on their belief that it's a good belief to hold, when in reality Earth's measured flat, and that fact is what creates, mathematically at least, a ball to believe in.
Can serve as your daily resistance against intellectual surrender. First, practice intellectual friction. Set aside time each week to read thoughtful arguments from people who disagree with you, not to change your mind necessarily, but to test whether your convictions can withstand scrutiny.
Check. Yeah, done it for 10 years.
We deal with it every day.
Yeah.
Second, embrace productive ignorance. When you find yourself absolutely certain about something, ask what evidence would change your mind.
Really? Really? Yeah, check, double check.
If you can't think of any, that's a red flag.
Yeah. But that's who we're dealing with. People who are so convinced of their own conviction that the shortcuts that they're taking are not even worth pondering. You've already figured this out. This guy's a wise guy. It's philosophy coded, the name of the channel, by the way.
Third, slow down your sharing. Before posting anything online, take 60 seconds.
Sharing? Slow down your sharing. Yeah, because most of the time they're sharing stuff that they've acquired, right? I've acquired this. Now I'm going to share it with you. It's never going to be, in the majority of cases, people who've gone out and actually done the research. Like this now, to share, if you will, this information this guy's sharing with us, he's had to do huge chunks of work just to facilitate sharing. Whereas some numpty on Facebook can just click 2 or 3 times and some nonsense waffle that hasn't been verified gets quote-unquote shared, lending credence and validity to something that's had absolutely no primary source research done to it. It's been picked up on a website and shoved up someone else's you-know-what.
Seconds to verify it from an independent source. That brief pause can break the algorithmic cycle that feeds on our emotional reactions.
Best piece of advice ever. It's what I tell my daughters on an almost daily basis. What is it you're telling me? And how did you find this out? What is your primary source research? Something that I want them to be educated in so that they don't do exactly as he's describing the general normie society does. Parrot garbage without actually taking the sometimes 30 seconds, sometimes 10 years to actually validate that which you, as you put it, believe. No one's going to do that. Most people are lazy, cognitively.
Finally, practice saying, I don't know.
Sound familiar? Yeah, we do. Because there's lots that we don't know. I embrace that childlike wonderment, as I describe it, as a positive thing. We're just surrounded by complete assholes that would have us drink bleach and not procreate because we
Nathan,
describe
what's
our
the
Earth's
sky?
measured. Yep, right in the middle of the sentence. Yeah, Neil.
What's the sky?
You interrupted that poignant sentence to ask me what the sky was. Thank you, Neil.
Yeah, because we don't know what the sky is, but there are others that tell us what it is and tell us where these things in the sky are.
I know what the sky is, you're correct. I don't know. That's what he's pointing out, right? You want me to say the words he's making in his example? I don't know what the sky is. I don't know why the sky is blue. I don't know what the containment we must have to be breathing gas at high pressure is made of. I do know that we must have containment in order to be breathing high pressure. I know that beyond all doubt. It's backed by laws of nature. And I ask daily, almost, how you could have said gas pressure, the stuff we're all breathing, without the containment I know is the antecedent for high pressure gas.
When you actually don't know something. In a world that rewards confident ignorance over humble uncertainty, admit
Definitely doesn't reward knowing things. Humble uncertainty versus, ignorance that's peddled with an air of knowledge behind it is his comparison, which is fine. It's not exactly inferring it's finite. But by the same token, it's like, well, no, what about just knowing? Like every example of Earth will be measured flat. Now, that's a statement of truth that will never be challenged. Now, you can feel free to challenge it, but you'd have to actually come up with some evidence and standard. The standard here would be said measurement. So something contradicting an Earth that's flat and the measurement of said Earth that is flat is what I would want as a standard to challenge that as a statement of fact. That's how my standards roll, after inquiring about whether or not it was worth believing in being on a ball.
Admitting gaps in your knowledge becomes a radical act. But individual practices aren't enough. We also need structural changes that make intellectual honesty easier and more rewarding.
At a societal level, not on an individualistic level. I mean, I can lie to myself, take these shortcuts, and when someone points it out, I can live in cognitive dissonance if I choose to. But this is something that's being revealed by the videographer. His desire for social consensus in his last statement.
This means requiring social media platforms to disclose their algorithmic biases and how...
Notice he's got advice for what people should be doing. So the social media platforms need to do this, do they? Really? I mean, why? They do their thing, their businesses, they'll run them however the hell they like. What, you don't like how it socially manipulates people? Don't use them. Don't go around telling... It's like us going, NASA should be doing this, because they might. No, NASA could do whatever they like. I just turn my back on NASA. Like I turn my back on Facebook. I mean, I utilise it to share my show, but I'm therefore the other end. You're like inferring that my use of Facebook to brainwash people into coming and watching my show. On the contrary, the people who engage with Facebook are engaging with it because of the social stimuli that it offers them. You're suggesting that the people who are exploiting that should do it differently. Why? Because you want social conformity. Yeah? Very telling.
How they curate content. It means funding comprehensive public media literacy campaigns.
Does it? Yeah, because you want everyone around you to be like you. You're seeking out this social balance to make you feel better about you. This is very, very telling. Me, I don't care. Yeah, okay. So there's other people around me that are dumber than I. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, there's other people around me that are smarter than I. Do I need to go for this, like, levelling of the playing field where socially we reach out to everyone and make sure they're all good? No, I don't know. Why would I want that? You know, from a selfish, individualistic point of view, I can just assess my own abilities and worry about that rather than worrying about everyone around me, philosophically or otherwise.
That teach people how to evaluate sources and evidence.
Why? Why do you want to teach them? Yeah? When they're bracing against you, trying to take cognitive shortcuts, do you think that you're being virtuous? Do you think people will thank you? No, they will chastise you, belittle you for attempting to educate them. Go out and try. I absolutely assure you will not be thanked.
It means designing online platforms that reward intellectual humility over tribal certainty.
Why? What if you did it and that caused complete upheaval and unrest? Do you know that it won't? Have you trialled it? You haven't got a bleeding clue. This I find highly objectionable. I don't remember watching this. I think that's about where I got to, and I thought it was great up until this point. Now I'm like, what? That's just your opinion, man.
Most importantly, we need economic policies that reduce the stress and uncertainty that make people vulnerable to intellectual shortcuts.
Do we? We need economic policies to make people feel a bit happier, do we? Shut up, you fucking hippie. Don't be telling people what they need to do socially, economically, or otherwise. How the bloody hell are you going to justify your musings on this matter? Have you got statistical data to suggest that this would improve people's well-being? Or if they had an elevated sense of well-being, they'd be in any way more productive, happier in real terms, better fed, better health, anything? Have you got anything to show this shite that you're spewing now? No, it's just shite, isn't it? Yeah. Up until now, it was reasonably well researched.
When people aren't constantly worried about healthcare, housing...
Oh, sorry, is this going to be a generalised stereotyping fallacy about people? I think it is. I think we're, 11 minutes into the video and it's now all going to hell in a handbag.
And employment, they have more mental bandwidth for careful thinking about complex issues.
Do they? How much more mental bandwidth do they have? Can you give it me in a number? Can you qualify it by showing the research you've done to establish this number? Oh, you can't? Oh, right, 64% of all bandwidth statistics are made up on the spot by numpties. What do you know? You're one of them.
No one, not even WhatsApp, can see
That'd be
your
too harsh.
personal messages.
People want to go off the beaten track, especially when they're talking about psychology, because you can, right? It's a pseudoscience. You can waffle off into la-la land and speculate all you like, right? Yeah, until someone brings you back down to ground by shoving your nose in your stupidity and pointing out that you haven't got anything to back your nonsense waffle that you spew, psychologically or otherwise. Now, yeah, you might be locked up and producing something of worth after trying to kill people, if we're to believe the story and narrative that we've got from the main protagonist, in this case, Bonhoeffer. Go ahead, whoever that was.
Yeah, but see, I don't think I was in such a great economic state when I came to Flat Earth. I was always struggling. And that didn't stop me from latching on to something that I found was true. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, he's not trying to direct it at you. He's trying to direct it at normie society. And I'm utilising it to direct at anti-flat earthers and globe believers that we debate. Up until now.
Bonhoeffer's theory was brilliant for its time, but here's what he couldn't have known. This isn't just about moral surrender or social pressure. Modern neuroscience reveals something far more unsettling. Our brains are literally wired to fall into functional stupidity.
Okay, let's see if he qualifies this statement.
Think about it.
When somebody gives you a statement of truth and then afterwards says the words, think about it, I just want to throttle them, frankly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know what's coming. It won't be substantiated in any meaningful way when he's telling me to think about it. Oh, I'll have my open mind shattered, will I, by your next words? I doubt it.
Bonhoeffer witnessed Nazi propaganda spreading through newspapers and radio broadcasts, but we're living through something exponentially more dangerous. We've gone from Nazi propaganda to social media algorithms that know exactly which psychological buttons to push.
Yeah, they're one and the same thing. They're both propaganda.
And now, we're entering the age of AI deepfakes that can...
This is the same thing, right? So what you're saying is propaganda's become more advanced. That's what you're really saying here. You just don't know it.
Fabricate reality itself.
What, like propaganda?
The threat isn't just escalating.
Like in propaganda. My God, man. Are you this dumb? You're talking about stupidity here. Recognise what you are doing.
It's targeting the very architecture of human cognition. This isn't just about Nazis or propaganda. It's about the wiring of your brain.
What, like the Nazis used with propaganda? Very amusing.
Our minds evolved to prioritize speed over accuracy.
Did they? As substantiated by what?
To trust familiar sources over unfamiliar ones.
Really? No one would ever make a new friend if that was the case?
And to seek information that confirms what we already believe.
Okay, I mean, I see that happening. That's partially what your example is based on.
These were survival features that helped our ancestors make quick decisions when
No, they are making quick decisions. That's ipso facto what it is to take a mental shortcut. It's to make a quick decision, right? Now, obviously, you're going to base it on the best information that you've got. And if you've previously been successful with that, what you're calling mental shortcut, you're going to engage in it again because it was previously successful. That seems mentally, logically sound to do.
hesitation meant death. The scariest part? We're all vulnerable, no matter how smart we think we are. The mechanism is exactly what Bonhoeffer described. When people feel threatened and uncertain, they become more susceptible to authoritative-sounding explanations that reduce complexity to simple narratives.
I'll go with that.
But here's the crucial insight that makes Bonhoeffer's warning more urgent than ever. We're not just dealing with human manipulation anymore. We're facing systems designed by artificial intelligence to exploit our cognitive vulnerabilities with surgical precision. Every click, every pause, every emotional reaction is being analyzed and weaponized against our capacity for independent thought. We saw this play out in real
I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, that makes it sound far more nefarious than somebody just trying to flog your toothpaste or deodorant.
Time during COVID-19, doctors, engineers, and lawyers, people with demonstrated analytical abilities, began sharing debunked theories about vaccines and treatments. These weren't failures of intelligence.
No, they were algorithmically supported, and those who disagreed were eradicated algorithmically from the network.
They were failures of intellectual independence under unprecedented pressure. Bonhoeffer paid the ultimate price for refusing to surrender his intellectual independence. He was executed by...
No. He was executed for trying to kill Hitler. Why is this guy repainting history? What's this all about?
hanging on April 9th, 1945, just weeks before Germany's surrender. His last words, according to a fellow prisoner, were,
"There should be, I wish I didn't try and kill another man."
"This is the end. For me, the beginning of life."
No, factually inaccurate.
You're not going to believe this. I just used this free agreement finder, and in under a minute, it showed me how many...
His sacrifice wasn't just about political
He wasn't sacrificed. He was executed. What are you babbling about?
resistance. It was about defending the very
No, it was punishment.
possibility of human thought. He understood that when people stop thinking independently, they stop being fully human. They become, in his words, puppets whose strings are pulled by whatever force happens to be strongest at the moment. But here's what makes Bonhoeffer's final challenge so relevant today. Who stands fast? When the pressure to conform is overwhelming, when thinking independently requires courage, when the cost of truth is higher than the price of comfortable lies, who stands fast?
Okay, we'll cover a bit more of it on the live stream. Hi, Adam.
Hey,
Go in.
it's going all right. How about you guys?
I'm alright. I'm only running the show with one monitor, so we'll probably do a lot of covering of a video today.
Sounds good.
Not really. Stupid monitor. I got it when I got this computer. Like, literally exactly the same time. Now, admittedly, the computers had, like, 3 new graphics cards, 2 new motherboards, 3 new CPUs, and about 8 sticks of memory. So it's not like I should say, wow, this computer's given me absolutely no trouble in the last couple of years. And this monitor, yeah, it's just died. What I find weird is when I went to unplug it, right, so I'm thinking, oh, I'll have to order another one. I need to do that, actually. Hold on a second.
I mean, it's 8:58. I don't know how much seconds you got.
Yeah, I'm just shouting my wife to order a new monitor. I really do need to get that done so it comes on next day delivery.
Morning.
I'm alright. I've said it 3 times. I might as well say it now. We're actually live. I've only got one monitor, so it's very difficult to see what's going on currently. So if we're a slightly disjointed show, things like live streams starting with a load of chat going and then the intro happening, things like that are going to happen today. It's just one of those things. I'll be ordering a new monitor momentarily once the live show's in flow. Let's do a bit of housekeeping. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure, that's like high pressure gas that we're all breathing in and out, without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
No, gas fills space all the time, unless it's contained.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even within containment, you still have gas dispersion. But yes. What'd you say, Neil? Air?
Yeah.
Are you taking the mickey out of that guy I did a debate with some time ago?
Yeah, boy, if you can get by you, huh?
Well, that was his response, right? Can you have gas pressure without a container? Well, air. Well, what about it? Air. Gas pressure, air, atmosphere, oxymoronic in nature, is still just gases, a mixture of gases. They fill space. It's the law of nature.
Yeah, he was pulling a Brenda. Look up. In other words, he's not dealing with the existing gas pressure. He's just assuming it's in a sphere.
Yeah, well, it's by the title. It's back to what we were covering in the pre-show with a videographer I should really shout out. So in the pre-show, we were covering this guy who's called Philosophy Coded. And his video is called The Terrifying Theory of Stupidity You Were Never Meant to Hear. So I'm going to put a link to this videographer now in my live stream, so you can go and let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Hopefully we will do a little bit of coverage on this particular guy during the live stream, so it's not just covering him in the pre-show. But I would like to actually get you guys to toddle along. I can't remember if I set this up. We'll find out now. Does this work? Yay! You can see the live stream chat going by. Hooray! It looks a bit of a mess, but it's good enough for government work. So please let him know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 something you can see on screen now. There's a link literally going by. The idea being that were this guy to do a response to me, not that we're necessarily critiquing the guy. I mean, there's a couple of things I've disagreed with him on because he's thrown out some of his opinions and then said, think about it, which I love. But, you know, that's not necessarily us critiquing the guy, so there's no reason to badmouth him or spark the YouTube bots when you leave him a little message. But he's not actually a very big channel. He's got 65,000 subscribers or thereabouts. So I'm sure he'd definitely appreciate the YouTube algorithmic love. So please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980. He sent me with a polite comment that alludes to the fact that we have covered his video. Hopefully he'd do the same for us if he was to cover us for whatever psychological reasons he might be covering us. In any event, I've put a link to his video, so go and check him out. Psychology Coded is the name of the channel. Right, shall we do a bit more of this video? We all up for that?
Not one more housekeeping question?
Sure. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Negative. On with the video.
So yeah, once again, Philosophy Coded is the video we're covering today. The Terrifying Theory of Stupidity You Were Never Meant to Hear is the name of the video. I've already encouraged you to let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and hopefully that has actually given a few people in the live audience enough time to actually toddle along and do actually leave a comment. I'm not just saying it for my health, but we will actually proceed and do a bit of coverage on his video. We're 90% of the way through it because, maybe not 90%, but 75% way through it because we covered a lot of it in the pre-show already. Me having watched it just before we went live and thought, no, that'll be a decent subject to cover.
Found in superior intelligence or education.
Let's just go back a few seconds just so we can get a bit of overlap between the pre-show and the live show.
So relevant today. Who stands fast? When the pressure to conform is overwhelming, when thinking independently requires courage, when the cost of truth is higher than the price of comfortable lies, who stands fast? The answer isn't found in superior intelligence or education. It's found in the daily choice to remain curious rather than certain, to seek truth rather than comfort, to think carefully rather than react quickly. These aren't heroic acts. They're ordinary practices that become extraordinary when everyone around you has stopped doing them. The tragedy is that...
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's weird that we stopped at the point where we were highly critical of what was coming out of this particular videographer's mouth at the time. Now I couldn't agree with him more. Everything that he just stated.
Intellectual surrender often feels like liberation. Thinking is hard work. It's uncomfortable to hold complex, contradictory ideas in your mind simultaneously. It's painful to admit you might be wrong about something important. But Bonhoeffer argued that this discomfort is the price of remaining human. In a world that profits from our intellectual surrender, choosing to think for ourselves becomes a radical act. This brings us to perhaps the most uncomfortable truth of all. We're all susceptible to functional stupidity.
By functional stupidity, again, as I say, we've covered this in the pre-show, he's describing the mental shortcuts that we will take. For example, in the context of flat earth debate, the ballers reacting to us undermining the measurement of an earth with a sphere edge for a horizon by way of the black swan. Now, to understand the complexities of a modus tollens argument is to understand the argument. I may as well give you a rendition of it. If the earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every distance to horizon measurement could be no more than 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, specifically as laid down in earth curve mathematics. Distance to horizon in the black swan image is beyond the geometric limit at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Therefore, the horizon is not earth curve, and the earth is not a sphere. Now, I can give you a rendition of that, not because I've got a script in front of me, but because I understand it implicitly. Now, as a mental shortcut to conform or cuck to the social pressures of being on a ball, one might retort with refraction, without actually understanding not only what refraction is, but how it in any way relates to a physical geometric sphere edge measurement at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as per the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking earth curve calculations that suggest you can measure earth curve. But that's a mental shortcut that is functional stupidity in this regard.
The moment we think we're immune, we've already begun to succumb. The price of intellectual freedom is eternal vigilance, not against external enemies, but against our own tendency to stop thinking when...
Again, I'll just stop him there. Did you hear that? Talking to you, ballers, right? We established this, or I did, with my panel before we went live, so I didn't have to ask this as a question, right? You, ballers, you suffer this, yeah? The inability to not internalize your own concerns with things like the cuck conformity to a ball that you all adhere to. Let's just listen to that one more time.
Come. The price of intellectual freedom is eternal vigilance, not against external enemies, but
that would be me.
Against our own tendency to stop thinking when thinking becomes difficult.
Yeah. Having a flat earth requirement in terms of earth measurement isn't me, your external enemy. It's you and your inability to process that which must be measured flat. Earth in this instance. Talking to you, ballers.
Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity is unsettling precisely because it's so
Not a scientific theory.
accurate. We see it everywhere. Intelligent people believing obviously false things, educated individuals making catastrophically bad decisions, well-meaning citizens supporting policies that contradict their own values. The problem isn't that people are getting less intelligent, it's that our systems increasingly reward intellectual shortcuts over
Yeah, and pile on the pressure by way of keeping people busy, keeping people poor, keeping people stressed, keeping people in fear.
careful thinking. But within this sobering diagnosis lies genuine hope.
It's now
For spot.
Sorry, ads.
If stupidity is partly chosen, it can also be rejected. If it's partly structural, structures can be changed. If it's the result of cognitive overwhelm, we can create conditions that make thinking easier rather than harder. Think of critical thinking like physical exercise. It's uncomfortable at first, but essential for strength. Just as we wouldn't expect to run a marathon without training, we can't expect to navigate complex information without practicing intellectual discipline.
Okay, I mean, this is kind of a bit of a nothing burger as far as I'm concerned. Telling people that they need to remain vigilant and exercise their cognitive processing abilities is kind of empty words. Yeah? If people are engaging in these shortcuts that are discussed at the beginning of the video, we covered them in the pre-show, unfortunately, for you watching live, then the people who you're trying to communicate this to are already in a position where they think they're doing the greater good, and therefore are completely impervious to anything you're going to suggest to them that might require extra cognitive processing. It's not like a AI simulation where you can just tell it to work harder and it'll brute force every possibility. They're closed, their minds, the people that you're discussing, to these concepts that you're flim-flamming around with, you know, mental exercises or whatever, right? Like you said at the beginning, and I completely agree with him, they're impervious. The people who think they're on a ball have taken those mental shortcuts, but they don't think they're being nefarious when they tell us not to procreate. They don't think they're being evil. Yeah? They think they're doing the greater good.
The mental muscles
then therefore impervious. Like I say, they're not gonna say, oh yeah, I completely react, I understand, and will now take part in these mental exercises to keep myself frosty. I will remain vigilant. Is not what you'll get as a response when someone's engaging in this kind of mentality. Like you say, and it is you, the videographer in this case, Philosophy Coded, that suggested this, right? They believe they're doing the greater good. Therefore, they're impervious. They're not going to listen to reason, listen to logic.
Required for independent thought need regular use, or they atrophy. The next time you find yourself absolutely certain about something, the next time you catch yourself dismissing contradictory evidence without...
Next time you find yourself certain that you're on a ball flying through a sky vacuum. The next time you find yourself contradicting with me telling you that you... That's right, you, baller. You are measuring Earth flat. Yeah? Let's see what he says next.
Without consideration. The next time you feel the comfort of having all the answers.
The next time you've decided that you just know that curve angles will give you elevation to the stars.
Remember Bonhoeffer's warning.
Remember the warning, yeah.
Functional stupidity doesn't announce itself with fanfare.
That's right. But I will. I'll announce it with fanfare, yeah? When I'm rubbing your noses in your own flat earth measurements that you can't cognitively process because you believe you're doing the greater good and are therefore impervious. Until there's a frickin' fanfare with Nathan Oakley dancing around going, you're using a flat earth! Hello? What do you mean your elevation? What do you mean your height? Height? Yeah, you'll need a flat earth for that. Elevation? Yeah, you'll need a flat earth to have height off. Elevation angles? What, to create the systems of orbits? You'll need a flat earth for those measurements. What do you mean Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 giving you a geometric sphere edge at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet? That will require you measure your height of eye off surface level to be at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height of eye off surface level. Yeah, these are all notions that our ball-believing brethren won't process cognitively. In their mind, being on a ball is the greater good. And they already know it's true. They've already got the shortcuts in place that make them impervious. But in reality, you're just exercising functional stupidity, and you have been warned. Bonhoeffer warned you from his jail cell, because this nutter tried to kill somebody.
It whispers that you already know everything you need to know. And in that moment of recognition...
Does that sound like a Simon Dan quote? Doesn't need to debate flat earthers because what now?
You have a choice. Will you surrender your mind for the comfort of certainty, or will you choose the more difficult path of intellectual independence? The question Bonhoeffer leaves us with isn't whether we're smart enough to avoid stupidity. It's whether we're committed enough to keep thinking when thinking becomes inconvenient, uncomfortable, or costly. In a world that
Yeah, that's a nice way to round it out, because especially with the costly, it's not talking about financially costly, although when you're expressing mental effort in some other area, that can be financially detrimental. But he's talking about mentally costly.
That profits from our intellectual surrender, choosing to think carefully.
Has it crashed? Oh. Well, for whatever reason, it's decided that's the end of the video. Have I still got a live stream, Neil? Can you double check?
Give me a second.
Yes, it's full on locked up. This is the problem. I think it's just my graphics card. It'll take a while to catch up. It's because I've got about 1 million different windows all overlapping each other, all open at once, with only one.
It's still live.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure my graphics card will catch up in a second or two. But yes, unfortunately for me, running with one screen means having lots of things overlapping, which does put stress on my graphics card. But there we go. Hopefully it'll catch up. We were quite close to the end of his video anyway, by the looks of things. So I'll just do a plug for him, and then maybe we'll get back into it shortly. Can you see why I picked that, Neil?
Yes, I can. It fits for what we're going through today. That's a fact.
Oh, he wanted to play an ad, that's why he was doing it. He wanted to play the same ad twice, that's why he was doing it. Oh, I didn't get
Bonhoeffer's theory was brilliant for its time.
Our scientific theory.
But here's what he couldn't have known.
A lot he couldn't have known.
This isn't just about moral surrender or social pressure. Modern neuroscience reveals something far more unsettling. Our brains are literally wired to fall into functional stupidity. Think about it.
Yeah, I kind of think you covered this already in your summarising, which is fine, because your suggestion makes sense in terms of the logical shortcuts, I think you called them, that make sense in terms of processing power. If you're going to be more efficient, then you're going to do things that are, as you call them, shortcuts. Now, you're saying that those shortcuts lead you into functional stupidity, and it is overall the premise of this video, and I do generally agree with it.
Bonhoeffer witnessed Nazi propaganda spreading through newspapers and radio broadcasts, but we're living through something exponentially more dangerous.
Why? Why'd you... No, it's just propaganda. It's the same thing. Why is it because it's suddenly been affected... It's affecting you, right? And what how you're perceived in social media terms, because you were immediately quick to tell the social media platforms how they should do things, right? The irony. But it's suddenly comparable. The guy was living through wartime Nazi Germany, and you're comparing it to your plight as being more dangerous. What a frickin' outrage. I'm going to go with no. You know, get a grip, man.
We've gone from Nazi propaganda to social media algorithms that know...
Oh no, not social media. Yeah, get a grip. I think we can't really compare these two things, you know.
Know exactly which psychological buttons to push, and now we're entering the age of AI deepfake.
And to be comparable, it drove you to want to murder another man and get locked up and executed. No, so not comparable at all then. Yeah, social media pushing out buttons to buy toothpaste.
That can fabricate reality itself.
Although he did use COVID as an example. Yeah, you're lucky because you didn't get the kibosh put on you. It wasn't being propagandized and censored. Now that you're talking about it, now it's allowed. Oh, it's locked up again. So...
The threat isn't just escalating. It's targeting the very architecture of human cognition. This isn't just about Nazis or propaganda. It's about the wiring of your brain. Our minds evolved to prioritize speed over accuracy. If it doesn't, you'll have learned something valuable about the difference between conviction and truth. The future of human dignity might just depend on how we collectively answer Bonhoeffer's challenge. If this video has made you question something you thought you knew for certain, that's not a weakness. It's the beginning of...
Yeah, boys. If you are questioning something you thought you knew, that's not a weakness. Yeah? Now, obviously, the next cuck in line's going to tell you that you're weak, or insult you or tell you not to procreate if you do this. But internally, so long as you personally can recognise that it's not weakness, it's just socially it won't help you, and really that's where you're at and why you're there. So it's kind of self-perpetuating for a lot of you Muppets. There's not a lot you can do about this.
Intellectual courage. Share this video with someone.
No amount of courage. They don't have courage, right? These people are cowards. We've dealt with them for 10 years. Intellectual courage is a distant thing for a lot of these people. They're just flat out cowards.
Who isn't afraid to think deeply, even when it's uncomfortable. Because in a world designed to profit from our intellectual surrender, the simple act of thinking carefully becomes the most important form of resistance we have. And here's what I want you to remember. Every time you choose curiosity over certainty, evidence over emotion, careful thinking over quick reactions, you're not just protecting your own mind. You're defending the very possibility of human wisdom.
There he goes again. Right, so you want to... Socially, it's what you're striving for, and in the conclusion is, again, very telling. Right, you want to have consensus. You want conformity. You want the world to be as you view it. Yeah? And you see that that is the best possible outcome. Yeah? It's like, okay, I'm not suggesting you should be a selfish prick, but I'm saying that these notions are just telling for you wanting to fit in with society and how you think you'd be best served telling the social media platforms how to do that. Oh, ironic. But this is all garbage. No. Introspection, yeah, you can do that, though. You being able to control the mind's eye of the people at large or educate them better, or you're wasting your time. Number one, because most people are just thick. Yeah, it's not like this complex stupidity that the intellectuals suffer occasionally. Most people are just retarded. Yeah, your average Joe, he's thick as shit. I've come to that conclusion. I came to that conclusion when I was about 8 years old. Yeah, I just assessed the people around me and went, my God, you're all thick. Yeah, and nothing's changed. Yeah, I've gone through my entire adult life realising this fact to be more and more true as time goes on. Most people are dumb. And there's not a great deal you could do. You could just laugh. Otherwise you despair, right? I remember once, I say recent, it's probably 10 years ago, but I was here in this town, right? And I was up at my local supermarket, right? And I remember doing that which I've just described, looking around and assessing the people around me and realising, as I always have, that the majority of them are very, very stupid. And at that particular time, about 10 years ago, I did, for a brief moment, have that feeling of utter despair. Like, the world is doomed. They're just too stupid. What's that, Neil? Go ahead. I laugh about this now.
I had that feeling too when I came out and I seen a bunch of people with masks on.
Yeah, I didn't. I laughed then. I know it's a perfect example, though. Me telling you how I reacted to that was with amusement, because you have to, or you'd go nuts, right? You drive yourself bonkers because you can't control the people. Even if this guy, in his la belief that if he suddenly got hold of the social networking algorithms, he could, for the greater good, make people have decent information and be critical thinkers. I can't even get to the end of that sentence. No, definitely not. Not only will you not achieve it, you'll get burned at the stake for it, mate. You having me on? Oh, it's been a good day. This has been much better than yesterday.
In an age of artificial stupidity,
sometimes it's not artificial, that's the point.
One belief you're willing to question this week?
Yeah, take this, right? Just for the guy. I hope somebody does actually share this video, right? Give this guy some love. Because for the most part, 90% of what he's saying, right, I agree with. And I get it's psychological drivel to some. But this is a point of contention in terms of why people behave the way that they do. And we haven't got crystal balls. We can't divine the thoughts of men, but we can discuss it in philosophical terms, right? That's all this is, right? And I like the cut of this man's jib, for the most part. So if I'm seeming critical of him, I'm not really. It's very amusing, and I like batting off people like this. But just consider for a second that he's applying this to the mentally competent, isn't he? Everyone following along where I'm about to go? He's applying this brush to the people of sound mind. He used it in examples, didn't he? Yeah? He's saying these people are normally the rational people of society. Right? The free thinkers, the people who have got a good head on their shoulders, they suffer this type of stupidity because of the propaganda or whatever reasons and excuses he made for these people of note mentally. They're not the retarded masses that also suffer this, yeah? No different, but they're beginner level stupidity from the outset, aren't they? Yeah? So how do you think they are? Do you think they're more malleable when you try and cope with talking to them and rationalising with them and reasoning with them? Hell no. Those are the people that will actually burn you at the stake. Shout out to Crypto something or other. I can't read on my blurry screen. It's too far away. 17-foot distance. He's joined. Thank you for joining as a hyena. Really appreciate it. Let's get the last few seconds.
Let me know in the comments.
Oh, we will. I've been sending people your way. I appreciate the video. Hopefully you don't mind me covering it.
And let's commit to being the kind of people who stand fast when everyone else has stopped thinking.
Again, so telling as the last thoughts. Yeah, you want that, don't you? You want everyone to conform. You want everyone to be like you. Yeah? It's a pipe dream. It both makes me smile because it makes me think you, as a videographer, are quite sweet. Do you know what I mean by that? I'm going to ask Neil to see if I can get a reaction. Do you know what I mean? He seems quite sweet.
Yes.
Yeah, but get a grip. Just that sort of sentiment. Nah.
Thinking.
Pleasure. Right, okay, so that was philosophy coded. And yeah, like I say, I like the cut of the man's jib. And hopefully we can at least offer some assistance in the YouTube algorithmic love that we definitely do not receive here, where we are highly censored. Yeah? Because we talk about how Earth's measured. And that's in contradiction to what people have already come to a conclusion about and have plenty of mental shortcuts, as you put it, to balldom that only exist by measuring Earth flat in the first instance. Therefore, I need heavy censorship. There also needs to be an air that the flat Earth is a crazy nonsense notion that deals with 9/11 truth. Or COVID. Yeah? We're not. We talk about how Earth's measured here, but we're censored into all non-existence. But this guy, philosophy coded, he'll be finding out about us because he'll be getting little comments from people who watched Nathan Oakley 1980's video, letting him know, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. There is indeed a link to this videographer whistling its way behind the live stream. I don't know why I'm glancing up at my other monitor. There's nothing on it. It's a black screen. Hopefully that's coming up on screen. Let's just go to... where's OBS? Oh, my God. I might this stream. It's too much. It's too complicated. Everything's on top of each other. Yes, it is going by in the live stream chat. Yeah, there's a link going by. Please let the videographer know with a polite comment that isn't rude, doesn't immediately get removed by the YouTube bots, doesn't snare... enrage the videographer, if I get my words out. Hey, was that Eli that just joined? Well, I'm glad to have you here, if it was Eli. I think it was. Anyway, what did you all think of that? Did you like doing a bit of... I'm glad QE's not here. I already got told off for covering psychological mumbo-jumbo. Did you all enjoy that?
Yes, wonderful.
Not often I pick a video.
Fine.
That was actually my choice. It's normally me being reactive to other people's suggestions of videos. That was actually one I picked.
It was quite deep for a Monday. I might have to rewatch it to really grasp what he was saying.
Not deep for a Tuesday, though. Good job it's Friday.
Oh, shoot. I thought it was Saturday.
No, we took the DeLorean to next Friday so we could do this show then and have 3 days off. We'll be talking about it now in 3 weeks.
Can I read you something real quick?
You can?
This is the intro to a baller server. We're science lovers, tech nerds, math brains, and occasional flat earth diehard come to argue like it's their job. I think it's the other way around. They treat it as a job. And science, really? Are they science lovers? Because I haven't seen any science coming out of these servers at all.
Who are you talking about?
Omnivore's server. That's the intro to a server.
Oh, good for him. That's the way to be, right? If you don't like how you're being treated in someone else's server, do it yourself. Good on you, Omnivore.
Yeah, but be truthful.
What's he not being truthful about?
They're science lovers?
Hey? Do you need to put that on your door? What I mean by that is, if you're running like a dog centre, you know, like a welfare centre for, what do you call those? For pet rescue or whatever. If you're running one of those...
A kennel?
What? Dog's home. Like
a kennel? Like a dog kennel?
Yeah, kennel. If you're running a kennel, right, you don't have to put underneath the sign for your kennel, "We don't beat the dogs here." You don't need to do that, do you? Right? In the same way, you don't need to put under your server, you know, we definitely do science here. We love it.
In Vietnam, I think you do.
What did they do in Vietnam?
He said in Vietnam, I think they do feed the dogs.
They beat the dogs, as in, you know, the kennel's not going to mistreat the dogs, not eat the dogs, like...
Feed.
Feed?
Gotta let them know they're feeding the dogs, so when you buy a nice dog dish, you know that they were properly fed.
Yeah, are you talking about it because they rear dogs for food in Vietnam? Is that what you're suggesting?
That's the way I took it.
Yeah.
Ah, fair enough. The last time I talked about eating pets, it didn't go down very well. I mean, I've travelled all over the world and eaten a lot of different things, but I'm not going to mention it. I'm just not even going to say it. I made that mistake last time about 5 years ago. I won't do that again. I'll just keep it to myself.
Well, it's kind of like, you see the way they prepare the dog? Kind of brutal.
I mean, I don't really want to get demonetised, but have you ever seen the way they castrate pigs? I mean,
no,
it's
and I
just
don't want
processing. Right, well, it's just processing food. My dad is a vegetarian and has been, obviously, as long as I can remember. And the reason he's a vegetarian is because he went to an abattoir and they used a bolt gun on the cows. But it didn't work. But they didn't care. This is my dad's story, not my own. I didn't experience this. But it sent him vegetarian. They didn't care that the cows weren't dead when they dumped them into a giant vat of a mixture of boiling hot water and fat to sear the hairs off them. Now, the fact that they were not dead was enough to make my dad permanent vegetarian.
Listen, God has equipped life. And I know this. Because when I got taken out with brass knuckles, I woke up in an ambulance. I don't remember any pain or anything. So there's something built in every life form that you ain't feeling it anyway. Your body just shuts down and you die.
I don't know about that, Neil. You hope so. Anyway, this is a bit of a gruesome conversation. How did we go on to this?
That's Liam's fault.
Vietnamese.
No, it's me saying if you're running a kennel, you don't have to put that you don't abuse the dogs above the door. Likewise, you don't have to profess your love of science unless you know damn well that you're not doing any. But a lot of your religion uses those words. So you better make everyone reaffirm that they know that, oh, we definitely are doing science here.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, now it makes sense.
I came through in the end. I didn't realise I was that convoluted up until this point, or I'd have summarised it earlier, Neil.
Well, I was thinking about it in a different way, but now that I think about it like that, yeah, you have to put it out there. Hey, we love science here. Meanwhile, you don't know what it is, but you got to make it appear like you love science.
Yeah. Well, if you're hijacking it and claiming it when you haven't got any.
Absolutely correct.
The thing I liked about today's video is it shows you why potentially us, could get so frustrated so easily with the people we're dealing with. They're impervious because they believe they're doing the greater good. They believe they're already right. So let's use Simon Dan as the example. He came up earlier. I can't remember what the context was for him coming up. Oh yeah, that was it. He's like, I don't need to talk any to use proper words. I don't need to talk to any flat earthers. I don't need to debate with them. I've already got the answers. I already know it's a ball. What would be the point in discussing it? Right? Now that attitude is directly addressed by this guy we covered today. Would you not agree?
Yes. It still doesn't give them, okay, nowhere is it right to tell someone to drink bleach and die. So how's that the greater good of man? How do they feel that that's doing the greater good of man?
I don't know, but you know, as the guy in the video we just covered said, if in your heart of hearts you think you're doing the greater good, then there is no natural buffer to stop you being inherently evil. If you know you're doing something wrong, there's a natural tendency, unless you're a psychopath, to not do that. Any other comments on today's video? Everything's starting to lag on my computer. Might be a shorter show. I mentioned it at the beginning of my live show, but I will mention it again. The monitor that I got alongside this computer has failed this morning. So my youngest daughter came in and was like, can you put Bluey on? And I'm like, what do you mean can I put Bluey on? I'm pretty sure you know how to click on a symbol that says Disney. So I come into the lounge and I'm like, oh, crap. This monitor's not coming in. It's not turning on. And as you're on the panel, Craig, the power cable's welded itself inside the monitor. It won't disconnect. So whatever's happened has been catastrophic because it's all burnt inside and welded itself to the monitor. So it's failed in some spectacular way.
What was the country of manufacture?
Electric, Electriq.
No, the country it was manufactured in was China. China.
It's Chinesium. Oh yeah, it was the cheapest Chinesium available. Of course.
I say when they buy those cheap chargers for their laptops, they usually last 3 to 6 months, and sometimes they catch fire, and they're from China.
Yeah, that's what Jardo said from the comments. He was like, "Yeah, it's the switch mode power supply," and it's like, "Yeah," and it's gone wrong in a way that's it's taken the monitor with it. Oh well.
Oh, well. It's only money.
Well, it's a few $100. Buy cheap, buy twice, and this will be the second one in 2 or 3 years. I don't know. When did Paul get me this computer? Was it 22? He got me this computer. Can anybody remember when that Paul guy, LVA Paul, bought me this passive computer? Because that's when I got this monitor. I'm pretty sure it's 2 or 3 years ago now. Anyway, I'll get another.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. I mean, that's not exactly a great run, 2 or 3 years out of a monitor. On the other hand, I've heard people that have 12 months out of an Asus. So, not the end of the world. Just not great either. But they're cheap,
Not
right?
to change,
Say again?
not to change the subject, but I didn't realize how much that guy Bono from U2 was hated. He just did a Joe Rogan. He was on Joe Rogan. And Nathan, I'm telling you, every single comment was dogging this guy. Like, what did he do that people hate him so much? I never realized that.
I don't know. I've never figured that out either. I've got nothing against Bono. Bono seems like just a dude doing his music and doing his thing, and then people hate on him for some reason. I've never figured that out, actually, Neil. I quite like
Especially
you too.
the Irish.
He is Irish. But I've never
No,
quite...
they hate him the most.
The Irish hate you too? Or hate Bono?
Yeah.
I
Are you
mean,
being
maybe...
sarcastic, Nathan?
What? What? Come again?
Are you being sarcastic? You don't know why Bono is disliked?
Well, maybe you could fill us in.
It's because of the years of virtue signaling and appealing to charity events and being the face of any charity that he'll put. People perceive him as the typical celebrity. He will only give money to charity if he's photographed doing so, and will tell you to do so.
Yeah, that's what they were saying in their freaking comments.
He sounds downright evil. Yeah.
And he's full of himself, too. I guess that's what it is. Could it be that a lot of people are envious, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds like it. So he does a lot of charity work, therefore he's self-righteous. Is that correct? I wasn't being sarcastic. I didn't know that. I was going to say, I don't know why people hate him. He does a lot of charity work, doesn't he? But you're like, he does a lot of charity work. I remember when he gave everybody a free album. Bastard! How dare he?
That's what they were saying in the comments, too. Everybody was mad about that. I was like, great. I got a free U2 album.
You telling me I downloaded iTunes? I didn't ask for a U2 album, and it's there anyway. It's downloaded without me pressing a button. For free? Without my consent? I think he should be hung.
And it was a good album, too. I like that one.
Yeah, I don't get it. People pick the really weirdest people to dislike. It's like, Bono? What's not to like about Bono?
Well, one thing I will say is, why do you care so much about people across the world when we have our own homeless people here who you'll walk past and not care for? So there is that negative perception, which I think is valid.
Yeah, but you mean to tell me he's done nothing for Ireland? I mean, what do you want him to do? Just take every single homeless person and just take care of them?
Yes.
I mean, there's only so much one man can do.
He's not doing enough,
No,
Neil, that's for sure.
But when you're asking people to donate money all the time to build wells in Africa, as great as that is, what about the people in Ireland? You know.
Or Africa.
I got you.
Well, there we go. I mean, I'm very disappointed in Bono also. You do.
Well, they come a far way since that. I remember that Live Aid concert where Queen stole the show, but it was U2. If you look at that video again, there's U2 banners everywhere.
Yeah.
I guess when you get so big, people begin to dislike you. I don't know.
It's hard to know, Neil.
Because if your missus likes him more than you, then you're going to be a bit jealous.
Well, I like him because he's honest. He says like he didn't know how to sing a lick. He was just shouting, and he had to take singing lessons. He had to learn how to breathe and how to sing properly. A lot of people wouldn't admit that.
I'm glad we got this cleared up.
Putting the world to right one day at a time.
I don't see ballers rushing in anymore. It's gotten very flat earth, if you know what I mean. I'm hoping the book generates some more motivation.
That's kind of all I'm waiting on, Neil. I mean, I've got myself set to cover the last little hurdle of going through the process of making the book. So I'm not financially stressed about it. I'll probably make another half a dozen videos. That's about it, because that's all I've got on order that's due to come. But I've got no intention to buy any more microphones, that is. Just want to sell them all to keep the mortgage paid over the next month or two while the book's being done. Then once the book's done, start marketing that, start selling that. That will be where I get more motivation. At the moment, I'm like, oh well, if I haven't got two monitors and the show looks a bit rough around the edges and my transitions are slow and I'm stuttering over my words as I'm trying to figure out where everything is as it's all overlapping and the computer's starting to lag. It's like, so what? This is the calm before the storm as far as I'm concerned, right? So it's a bit like metaphorically being a bit slobby. There's crisp rappers and sweet rappers around me metaphorically. And I'm like, I don't care. For the moment, it's fine. Doing other things, that can be sorted out momentarily.
Well, not just you. It's less people are showing up in the Discord. Less people are showing up in Teams. It's gotten a little flat, a little stale. I mean, because it's measured flat. I mean, what do you do from there?
Well, that should be the starting point because most people don't realise that, Neil. But it will be, like I say, once the book's available to be punted and sold, I'll be out there punting and selling it. Let's go around with the book itself.
I'm too feeling that kind of tired, man.
Again, Adam?
I said I'm too feeling tired. I don't know, man. Like it's how much flatter can it get? To be honest, and I'm there in my life. Like I'm here at like this crossroads. I'm not really sure how much I can pay attention anymore to the earth and its flatness, especially since no one seems to care, outside of us.
Yeah, that's you telling us the videography we covered earlier, right? So your desire to have the rest of society see it as you see it. It was always qualified by, I
don't know.
The whole world will know it's flat soon. That's how it was quantified previously.
Yeah, it should be easy. It should be that easy. And yeah, maybe it's my own cognitive little hiccup, but it gets discouraging. And then eventually, at this point, you can show me anything and I can show you the flat part, but I'm still here and I don't know what I'm going to do while I'm still here anymore.
Just continue to do what you're doing. My concern is the people that used to be here are not here. And we're getting a little sloppy. So when the book hits, there's going to be a rejuvenation, right? Bigger than before. That's why it's important to be well represented by the language that we use, because people are going to be seeking you out. I was like, what this Nathan Oakley? He's got a YouTube channel? Let me see what this is all about.
Not to mention people are going to be trying to falsely represent our positions like they've been doing.
I didn't think of that, Eli. You're right.
And that's not just like, a personal thing for us. Like that's the way the world is run. Like if you look at any entertainment media, like there's always the information that's available, and then everyone who's talking about it for whatever reason can't seem to get the details right. So that's just like how we talk about the Black Swan. They still don't get the details right. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is frustrating.
Yeah, what you're saying is our own side want the mental shortcuts too.
Our own side what?
Want mental shortcuts.
Yeah.
They don't want to learn the argument.
Yeah.
I was going to say that, Nathan, because look at Earth being measured flat. That's why I wanted you to go over it, because the guy yesterday that was trying to, get you and what's his name, McToon together, he had no idea what you meant. What do you mean, man? How? But he'll take what little information he has and not understand it and go and try to punt it in another server.
Yeah, you're talking about the guy that was like joining in on Jardo's negotiations.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know who he was, but yes, I know who you mean. I mean, yeah, he's getting involved with people's discussions on various forums, me in that instance, but didn't know what an elevation angle is. I was like, why would you be expected to? And why would he, Neil? But for the fact that he's getting involved is what you're saying.
Yeah, and well, no, he didn't even know. So that's why, and I knew when you were saying it to him, he still had no clue. That's why I wanted you to break it down and go over it from now. After you went over it, I don't know if he comprehended it. I mean, to me, it's so simple, but other people are not comprehending it. And maybe it's they understand it, but they don't know how to articulate it. So they come off not knowing what they're talking about. Eli, you experience it all the time, right? Over there, people come into 24/7 and they'll just say elevation angle, and that's it.
Yes. I concur on behalf of Eli.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, again, back to today's video. The guy's summarising it quite nicely. It is, in all instances, easier to find the mental shortcut and assume that someone else has done the mental gymnastics and work, so you don't have to. But look, this has been overcome. So then you end up with two numpties, right? You got the numpty that says elevation angle, and then you've got the other numpty who responds with refraction, and neither of them know the argument.
That's why the book is going to be great, because you could just go to the book. Let me see what it says about elevation angle. Here, I got you. Now let's resume that argument. Black Swan. Find it up. Look it up. Now you can argue Black Swan.
Yeah, if you assume that people will actually process the book in that way, you don't know. It's hard to know how the book will be received, Neil. But I can't wait to start flogging it. Yeah, because once it's actually out there, once it's out in people's hands, and they start discussing the contents, I just can't wait. It will have an impact for a significant period of time. I can't understress enough how influential this book is going to be.
Are you likely to ask to promote it? Obviously, Mark Sargent will hopefully have you on. Who else have you considered?
You name it. Anybody who will have me, I will approach them all. Or I'll have someone else approach them on my behalf, might be better. But in any event, I need to get out everywhere. That needs to be my primary focus. Right, I've sent my wife the link to my £230 Chinesium 4K monitor from Amazon. Hopefully that'll be back with us tomorrow. We can have a normal show again. No, this hasn't been... I would say this has been no different to most people in the audience. They wouldn't have known that I had a severe technical limitation today. Most people probably wouldn't know any difference. Which is good, right? Yes, Nathan. You're ace. Yep. Yeah, I know. I work very hard. I have a high standard.
I think QE's doing a show today. You could plug it on a live show.
We are live, and we're going to be live for the next 5 minutes at least. So be here or be sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel at 6 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Central Standard for Quantum Eraser Live. I do believe he is covering the video with Simon, Dan, and Jaren, having a little chitty chat. So that's what their discussion form will be today. It is today, isn't it? Yeah, today, Tuesday. Somebody threw me by saying it was Monday when it isn't. You, Liam.
Sorry if that's working too many hours.
Yeah, I can relate. I was up at 5 a.m. posting a microphone. Anyway, I'm sure you mean you working hard, but I'll take it to mean me.
Yeah, so
Anyway.
Kiwi's live today.
Yeah, I was tailing out of that plug, wasn't I? Let's get a grip. Let's get some focus. So yeah, Be Here or Be Sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel, 6 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. Central Standard, and they are doing a Quantum Eraser live show. So yeah, it should be fun. Fun will be had by all.
I think it's the Jaren show.
Or my
Jaren
screen's starting to
the other
flash.
guy.
Right, I'm gonna round out the show in 2 minutes on the hour, so it will still be an hour show, but I'm starting to get errors with this computer because of running everything overlapping. So it's just starting to flash black. Did that probably came through on the live stream? Did you all see it flash black? Anyway, there's definitely an end imminent for this live stream. Yes, it did. I've just seen on the playback that it flashed black. Okay, yeah, this computer's going to give up the ghost if I don't end the stream soon. Let's quit while I'm ahead. With that, another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering stream, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Okay, hopefully with the live stream over, there'll be a bit less stress on this computer. My wife's just texting me to say she's ordered that monitor. Let's just see. Oh well.
So you could end a live stream and it'll be less stress so you could still do an after show.
Yeah, that was the general idea. I just didn't want the computer to completely crash and then suddenly I'm having to re-render live streams, log back in to shut off a live stream that's still ticking over even though it's not running and things like that. I just didn't want that to be the case. I mean, this computer's pretty reliable, so I'm 50% sure that wouldn't have been the case, but not 100%. So it's better to just err on the side of caution and end the show. It was only a minute early.
Take no chances.
Yeah, well, I just wanted a nice round out and things like that. If you're going to go to the effort of doing a show, you might as well do it and keep it professional, do a proper outro, all that sort of stuff, don't you think? Or at least I think that.
Yes, and it's very important that you start at the same time, and if you can end the same time, sometimes have a longer show. The way you do it is perfect.
Yeah, I want to keep that consistency. It's like I've just had a tooth out. I had a couple of weeks off, although I did do bits and bobs in between live streams and such. It was definitely a chunk of time that there was no show. And this week I'm just getting back into doing a full week of shows. And then I'm suddenly not having a show because I'm missing one monitor. It's like, nah, I can cobble a show together with one monitor. Might be a bit iffy, but it's fine. The screens that I do use are 4K, so there is just about enough space to have it all overlapping, which is one of the reasons why I want a 4K. Earlier, Craig was like, why don't you just get a 2K? You don't need 4K. I'm like, yeah, I do. I need all the screen real estate.
I remember when we used to do shows with the computer on fire.
Right. Yeah, with it going to 100 degrees.
Yeah, we had ideas of putting you in a cooler with a nice Russian fur coat on.
And strictly speaking, it's the same computer. It's just got a new motherboard, new CPU, then another CPU,
stop.
new graphics card, then another new graphics card, then another new CPU, then several sticks of RAM. Other than that, it's the same computer.
Yeah. It's a Z28. Nathan.
Yes.
If you have a Camaro, but everything inside the Camaro is the Corvette, then what is the car?
If you're asking, it's a Ferrari.
My cousin's husband had a regular Camaro, but everything, he made it a Z28, right? And there was something about the way that car was shaped and the stereo system he had in that car only sounded that way in that car because he took the same exact system and put it in like a Buick Electra, 78 Buick Electra, and it did not sound the same.
No, well, it won't. Yeah, the space you're in is almost as important.
He had totaled his car and he took all the speakers and everything out, electronic crossovers, mid-range tweeters. He took everything out and he built them into a box. And he brought this box to the park.
Cool.
Forget it. Oh man, it sounded so good.
Cool.
Yeah, he was really good, this guy Cliffy, with sound. There was one particular song that sounded insane in his car. It was called Fly on a Windscreen by Depeche Mode.
Oh, okay.
We didn't even know what CDs were because everything starts in LA and works its way up north. But we didn't know what a compact disc was. We were still putting cassettes in the car.
You still had 8 tracks, didn't you, Neil?
Yeah, 8 tracks, cassettes. Well, 8 tracks are almost done with, but they were still lingering around. And he'd come from California every summer. He would drive up to visit his father and his half brothers. And he had this insane Camaro that sounded insane, and everybody wanted to be in that car. He'd be like, we wanted to play music, but he wouldn't play it unless it was a CD. He said, I don't want to hear the hissing. I don't want to hear the hissing. Like, what hissing are you talking about?
Yeah, it's not wrong. You don't want to hear the hiss. Right, as we're not talking about Flat Earth, I am going to round out. So with that, another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley and all. See you all in the next video.